Joining us right now, GOP political strategist. It's Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Chad. I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing great. Thanks for joining us today. Before we get to Trump at the United Nations and maybe what people should expect to hear from Trump, or what we may hear from Trump during over the next few days, I want to go back and talk about the president doing some of this outreach towards Democrats and Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. You have Republicans who are warning Trump, hey, don't get too friendly. And you have Democrats who are warning Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, hey, don't get too nice with this guy. Is this a good plan from Trump? Is this bad plan from Trump? What are you reading into all of this from the president making deals with the Democrats?
Yeah, I mean, I think all we can read in right now is that he's very frustrated by the pace up on Capitol Hill. And I think that's absolutely understandable. We're here about 9 months into the new administration, and he still hasn't had a major signature legislative accomplishment. And time is running out. And so I think he's looking at this year and saying, what can I still get done? If I have to work with Democrats to find ways to get some of these things done, I'm going to do them. Keep in mind, though, I mean, I think that the deal on the debt ceiling and the government spending bill was fairly inconsequential. It was a 3-month delay. A big deal on DACA is going to require quite a bit more heavy lifting, and just because there may be the outlines of a deal right now, that doesn't mean that the U.S. House is going to be able to pass it ultimately. Even Speaker Ryan, I think, on Friday or Thursday announced that he's putting together his own working group inside Congress to try to work on the issues. So a deal between Donald Trump and Chuck Schumer does not guarantee that it would get through the House and the Senate, particularly on something as complicated and emotionally charged as immigration. And so the risk for Trump is that he, is sort of throwing his base under the bus to try to get a, quote, win. And that is going to be the question. And, of course, the devil's in the details. What is this deal? If it is border security, what does that mean? Do these dreamers have a path to citizenship, and when does that happen? Does it happen for their parents as well? There's a lot of questions that have to be answered, and I think we're still pretty early on in this process as it relates to DACA.
Yeah, regarding DACA, I know the left freaked out whenever the president said, hey, I'm rescinding DACA, but I'm sending it to Congress. Congress has 60 days to do something. Am I reading this correctly here that you have Paul Ryan, Donald Trump, and then the Democrats at the very, I guess foundation, it doesn't seem like any of them want to send these kids back to their quote-unquote home country. It seems like all of them want the dreamers to stay here. It's just, as you brought up, the devil will be in the details, right? But the foundation is all of these leaders sort of want the dreamers to stay here, correct?
Yeah, I don't think there's any real question of that. I think there's probably part of Trump's base, part of that sort of hardline immigration wing that wants them to leave, and there's probably 5 or 10 or 20 members of Congress that might feel that way. But that's really a minority view. I mean, I think in this country we've always separated adults from children in terms of responsibility for things that they've done. And so I don't think it's ever been politically possible to deport the dreamers. Now, what does that mean going forward? I mean, obviously, the Trump administration and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and others have said, listen, Obama did this in a way that was unconstitutional, and Trump sided with that argument, but he also allowed for this 6-month phase-out, the 6-month transition period, which takes us to March 5th. And so I think Trump really tried to thread the needle there. I think he did so fairly intelligently and responsibly. And now you're starting to see discussions on Capitol Hill. You're starting to see Congress take some steps toward trying to resolve this. And it needs to be resolved legislatively. And if that can be done in a bipartisan way, that'd be a very good thing.
There's some work on repealing Obamacare. It hasn't been a major headline yet, I don't think, not compared to what we've seen in the past. What is the latest on any repeal effort, and what are lawmakers going up against time-wise on the calendar?
Yeah, so keep in mind, because they're using a procedure known as reconciliation, there's not only limitations to what can be in the bill and how it can score, how it can affect the budget, but there's also a time limitation. And the Senate parliamentarian ruled that the reconciliation window for this year closes September 30th. So we're sitting here 12 days out, and the Senate hasn't even begun consideration yet. Now they're planning, I think, to finish the defense authorization bill today, which could allow them to begin moving towards health care here in the next couple days. Senate Majority Leader McConnell said he will bring any Obamacare repeal bill to the floor that has 50 senators supporting it. The authors of this bill have said they're very, very close. This is Bill Cassidy, the doctor from Louisiana, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, and Dean Heller of Nevada. And the bill basically block grants all the money to the states and lets the states spend their Obamacare dollars however they see fit. There's a lot of ramifications for that. It probably harms states that expanded Medicaid and it benefits states that didn't. It doesn't pull out all the Obamacare taxes. There's some things about it that conservatives are going to have problems with, but it's certainly an improvement. And of course, you would have to get it passed through the Senate by close of business on September 30th. I don't know whether that applies to the House, because that was the Senate parliamentarians' ruling, not the House. The House. It's not a matter of a question of the House, because the House makes its own rules for each bill. So it'll be interesting to see whether this comes together. This is the last chance, at least this year, for them to do something about Obamacare.
Visiting with Matt Mackowiak. Matt, before we wrap it up, what do you think the president will do at the UN? What are any expectations of President Trump over the next few days?
Yeah, I mean, we'll all pay attention to his speech on Tuesday, what themes he lays out, what it means for American policy, American leadership of the world. All those things are very important. I would also say, and I expect him to make the case for nationalism, not just in the United States, but for all countries, to put their citizens first. I hope he makes the case for global security in this very dangerous world we're living in. But aside from that, look, I think North Korea is going to be the top issue during the UN General Assembly. You're going to have a number of meetings along the sidelines. It'll be very, very important. So in some ways, getting world leaders together all in one place at one time gives the president an opportunity to get a lot of work done, particularly on the sidelines. He's meeting with Netanyahu and Abbas from the Middle East. I'm sure he's meeting with the Chinese president as well, presumably about North Korea. There's a lot that will be going on the sidelines there in New York, and in some ways that can be every bit as important as his actual address to the General Assembly.
Matt, tell folks how they can sign up for your morning email and the latest on your podcast as well.
Yeah, send out a morning email. It is all the news and opinion from around the state of Texas in one place. You can sign up at mustreadtexas.com. And my podcast is called Mac on Politics, M-A-C-K on Politics, and our latest episode is with Ken Cuccinelli, the former Attorney General of the State of Commonwealth of Virginia, Senate Conservative Fund President. We talk about DACA, Trump, all kinds of issues. You can find that in the iTunes Store, Google Play, Stitcher, and on the web at maconpolitics.com.
Very good. Matt, appreciate your time. We'll visit with you next week.
Take care.